Hartlike goeie dag en baie welkom by ons heel laaste AgriMonitor-uitsending vir 2022. Nou soos dit met so 'n laaste uitsending gepas is, kyk ons vandag in ons Plaas Toe-segment na hoogtepunte van al die plaasbesoeke wat Elvira Hatting deur die loop van 2022 gebring het. Daar was regtig 'n paar uitsonderlike sulke plaasbesoeke en ons hoop julle sal na hierdie hoogtepunte of dit net soveel geniet soos wat ons dit geniet het. En dan in ons nuusgesprek kyk ons na hoe plante op die duine van die Namib-woestyn kan floreer en oorleef as gevolg van mis wat van die see se kant af oor die Namib inbeweeg. Nou ja, en dit baat natuurlik ook die dierelewe in die woestyn. Hierdie is 'n video wat saamgestel is deur die Gobabeb Namib-navorsingsinstituut en navorsers van 2 universiteite in Duitsland is hier aan die woord. Lekker saam kyk.
Funding part of it and the risk aspects that are related to the potato production is also
Okay, hello, good afternoon, wonderful afternoon in Gobabeb, station dune on our back. Yes, we want to present our project called FPO, which means Fog Plant Oasis. And we are from the Senckenberg institution, all of us. And I'm located in Tübingen in Germany, and I'm a geobotanist. So I'm looking at the interactions of plants with water in general, and that's why I'm here.
I am Tatiana Miranda. I work to Senckenberg Tübingen, and in this project I work with the water fluxes through the plant and the functional morphology.
My name is Karin Huberg. I'm soil zoologist at Senckenberg Görlitz.
My name is Clément Schneider and I'm also a soil zoologist, also at Senckenberg Görlitz.
My name is Huiying Gan. I'm a soil biogeochemist at Senckenberg in Tübingen, Germany.
Okay, by the way, my name is Martin Ibner, I forgot that to say. And what we have here is a typical fog plant oasis, and the principal plant which is responsible for the establishment is this Stipagrostis sabulicola, quite frequent on the dunes. And we know from a study before, we have been here 12 years ago to study the fog harvest efficiency of this plant, and we know that it is capable to harvest considerable amounts of fog. This also happened yesterday. So there was fog this morning. Now, of course, it looks quite dry. But to quantify the fluxes, we divide between the in the input of water and in the outflow of water, and to measuring the input via fog, we have this instrument, a theta probe, that's for measuring the water content. And what I try now to see is how much water is at the base of the plant. So I insert now the probe and do a measurement. And I see I have a water content of around 3%. This is quite high. That means that the plant is able to use that water. And if I compare that to the open desert, here the water content is only 0.9%. So that's not enough for a plant. That means that via the fog runoff the plant can irrigate itself. And what is also, of course, important now to get a model of the water cycling within this fog plant oasis is to know something about the outgoing fluxes of water. And this will Tatjana show to you.
Okay, with this device I can make measurement through this chamber how much water the plant lost through the atmosphere. Then I put the chamber here and on the leaves, and then they give me values that I know how much, how open are the stomata. And then with these values I can calculate how much water the plant lost through the atmosphere.
All right. So I'm an expert on mesofauna, which are tiny invertebrates, tiny animals, below 5 millimeters, so quite tiny animals. And we are very interested in the fog harvesting plant because we believe that the capacity of this plant to grab the water from the fog and conduct it through the stem into the ground allows this plant to create a true oasis into the desert for those tiny and very sensitive animals. So we found out that at this part of the plant where the stem divides into leaves and further stem creates a very nice little space of protection for the animals. So we believe that the water conducted by the stem gather at this spot, and then tiny mites, tiny insects can make their life here.
So we know that the fog water also goes down the stem into the soil, and in order to find out what animals can then live there in the soil, we take soil samples. So this is a metal cylinder which I just enter into the soil so that it's leveling, which is not quite easy, and then I go under it and there we are. So this sample I will now make ready in order to get to the lab with it, and there I will extract the nematodes, mites and collembolans from it.
Hello, so as a soil biogeochemist, I'm interested to link above ground and below ground processes of this mini ecosystem created by the sublicola. So by specifically looking at the transfer of carbon and nutrient cycles between the plants and the below ground soil fauna. So at the field I will be taking plant samples. So this looks good. As well as to collect the soil detritus from sand through sieving. So I'm collecting a soil core and then I will sieve them to get this plant detritus. And this sample, together with the soil animals extracted by my colleagues from Görlitz, we will bring back the samples to our lab in Tübingen and look at the stable carbon and nitrogen isotopes in the samples to be able to say something about the importance of Stiphocritis sublicola in the animal's diet, as well as if other food resources brought to this ecosystem through wind is also important in their diet, and also to say something about the trophic position of this soil animal, for example if they are herbivore or if they omnivore or are predators, and finally to get a good idea of the decomposing food web of this mini ecosystem.
What's happening in Gobabeb today?
No.
Do you want to try it again?
Yes.
Kilo 40 is 'n familiebesigheid. Soos wat ek weet, bestaan Kilo 40 al van rondom 2004. Ons het die plekjie oorgekoop in 2019 van die vorige eienaars af. Ek is Irina Labuschagne en ek is getroud met Niels Labuschagne. Hy het 'n ouer broer Chris Labuschagne. Nou hulle twee het vir Waterberg Agri Trading die besigheid begin. Hulle het soos 'n klein kolebedryfie begin en toe later begin hulle uitbrei en nou koop hulle bees vir Current Beef, hulle is hulle agent en Chris Labuschagne is ook getroud met Henry Labuschagne. So ons is 'n redelike groot familie.
Die familie en die boerdery skakel dan nou ook alles in by hierdie baie gewilde en bekende padstalletjie. Is dit julle produkte wat op die rak beland? Hoe werk dit?
Yes, dit is ons eie, die vleis is ons eie aanteeling, soos die skaap en die bees is ons eie aanteeling. As ons sê nou maar nie bees of skaap het nie, sal ons by die boere koop in ons omgewing.
Kyk julle, soos ek nou gesê het, maak julle beeste mooi, spandeer daai ekstra sente. Dit kom terug na julle toe, die groei van die kalf. Daar is 'n groei, daar is 'n 60 kg groei verskil, my persoonlike ervaring van 'n goeie kalf en 'n swak kalf in 'n jaar. Maal R30 is R1800. So die kalf wat 'n goeie geen het en wat goed versorg is, bring vir jou R1800 in 'n jaar meer.
Ladies and gentlemen, onze oes koning vir die jaar 2022 goes to none other but Ati Nel. Kom eens geef vir 'n lekker hande klap. Genade dat ek vanaand as enigste oorblywende van die eerste oesfees van 50 jaar gelede die geleentheid het vanaand om vir julle iets te sê. Doriso, ja, en ek moet ook sê, 50 jaar terug het ek definitief meer hare gehad as wat ek nou op my kop het. Maar dit is nou van my oorlede vrou wat my altyd so op my kop gevryf het en gesê het, ou ram, ou ram. Mijn hand is heel veel en ik kan en de rest van die familie afgaan.
Ik ga het vinden aan koop. Ik het gedink ek studeer hier.
Jy kan nou net sê, loop jy op daar en ek meer aan vir die interrasse ook.
She had a fascinating life. She was born 1926, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary. She was 11 years old when her father King George took the throne. And she was only 27 years old when she acceded to the throne herself and had her coronation in 1953. So she reigned for 70 years, 214 days. or if you want it in a different way, that's 25,781 days. The longest female reign in history, just 626 days shorter than Louis XIV. She had 15 prime ministers, starting with Winston Churchill and actually ending with Liz Truss, who she appointed just 2 days before she died.
Maar dan wil ek ook vir ons Hemelse Vader dankie sê. Want toe Tannie Lizet my bel, toe was dit 1:30 voor hulle my gesê het, ons kan maar vat wat ons wil vat en laat ons daar wegkom. Ons kan nie daar bly nie, ons bly in 'n gat. En Tannie Lizet later het my gebel en sê, my kind, dis is erg. En ek sê, vat Tannie, ek gaan nêrens heen gaan nie. Dis nog 'n entjie wat die vuur is. En ons is nou deur 7 jaar se droogte, wat lank was. En ons is daardeur, ons is nog steeds hierso. En die Here het ons toe nie gelos nie, en hy sal ons vandag ook nie los nie. En ek wil net dankie sê vir almal se gebede, want dit was 'n halfuur daarna. Toe kom hulle, toe sê hulle die wind het gaan lê, en hulle kan hierdie vuur wen.
Die mense glo, na die rooi lyn kan jy niks doen nie. En ek stem mee saam. Grond is grond, waar ook al is grond. So, dankie dat julle ook nou hierdie kant toe gekom het om te sien dat boere wat in die rooi lyn is, wat reg wat probeer om te sien dat alles mooi loop in die bedryf. En ons wil ook contribute na die food basket van die land toe. My naam is Joel Nambahu. Ek boer in Peoshivelo. Ek is agter die rooi lyn. Die ding hierso is mango. Jy moet 'n mango veld hê. As jy 'n bamboe is, jy moet 'n mango veld hê. So op die 1 hektaar wat ek en my vrou gesit het ons nou die helfte van dit is so wat ons nou mango gehad het was 0,8 hektaar. En toen ons dit gedeel in 2. Haar kant, en so sê, maar my kant sal ek bome plant. En ek het gesê, bome is jy ernstig met bome? So ja, ek is ernstig. Toe plant ek my eerste 120 bome.
Citrus is widely adapted. There's basically only 2 things that can stop you from producing citrus. The first thing is frost. Citrus tree doesn't like frost. If it's a young tree, it can die at -2 or -3. If it's an older tree, it can sustain that kind of temperatures, but still frost is a major issue. Don't plant it where you know it's going to go -6 or whatever in the winter. It's not going to work.
I'm Marcus from Feedmaster. I'm here on a chicken farm today, and I would just like to explain to you a little bit more about the prolapses of these birds. In particular, prolapses is where basically the cloaca of the bird is basically causing a red bloodness on the eggs of the chicken, and because of the blood on the eggs, that normally causes the birds to start pecking each other, and then the birds can kill each other. So you don't necessarily want that. Many birds die in the process, and for every bird that dies, you don't get an egg the next day of that specific bird, and then your profit would decrease. There are multiple reasons for that, in particular why prolapses actually happen. Prolapses could be because you didn't raise the birds correctly. So if I can advise you, always try to buy the correct birds from a trusted supplier, which have showed you that the birds were raised on the correct feed, had the correct vaccination programs, and then also were looked well after during the raising process of the birds.
The top traded horticulture crops in Namibia, if you look at that table, top imports, potatoes becomes number 1. 138 million of potatoes are imports in terms of the value. Apples, bananas, orange, onions, avocados, grapes. On the grapes, it's always good to mention to say, despite that we are producing so much volume that goes for export, at the time when Namibia is starting to harvest the table grapes, end of October, beginning of November, the price of table grapes is very high. There's a niche market that our farmers are taking advantage to deliver products in the European markets. So it's more driving in that angle, but at the end, we would need to import what is affordable for us to come and consume. The top export is, as I said, it's led by table grapes to the value of around 857 million. But then when you look at the local purchases, also it comes back to potatoes as well, around 95 million value of the potato that is produced local. But we still have an advantage to increase that so that we take advantage of reducing imports by increasing local production.
Nou ja, soos wat dit gebruiklik is voordat ons groet, kyk ons vinnig na die veilinge wat in die komende week aangebied word. Dit is natuurlik nou net voor die veilingsseisoen oor die Kerstyd sluit en dan loer ons ook na die vleispryse. Op 14 Desember, dis nou môre Woensdag die 14de, bied Agri op Grootfontein en Karasburg veilings aan. Op die 16de het WLA by Gobabeb se grootvee-veiling en op die 15de, doen ek dit nou agterste voor om op die 15de het Agri by Mariental 'n veiling, Blouberg by Otjiwarongo en WLA bied 'n grootvee-veiling by sy nuwe veilingskrale hier noord van Windhoek aan. Ons abattoirs kan julle sien, Meatco, Beefcore en Meatco in die NCA, se pryse daar oor die verskillende grade A, B, B, as ook die C grade. En dan wat die veilings betref, tollies verlede week 'n gemiddeld van 40 Namibiese dollar 48 sent per kilogram behaal, verse $38.41, stoorosse $32.63, stoorverse $31.62, slagosse $32.84, slagverse $34.15, koeie afhangend van hoe vet of maar hulle was, het pryse gewissel van $24.77 tot $31.79 per kilogram, slagbulle $30.11, slagskape, dorpers, vetsterte by die veilings onderskeidelik $38 Namibiese dollar 29 sent en $38.68. Bokke het verkoop stuk 1355 gemiddeld en koeie met kalvers 13.000 Namibiese dollar 13.983 Namibiese dollar. Nou ja, daarmee groet ek julle dan tot volgende jaar. Ek wens julle almal 'n baie geseënde Kerstyd met julle families en geliefdes toe. Ek hoop ook dat dit 'n misdaadvrye tyd op plase sal wees en dat ons geseën sal word met goeie reën in die komende tyd. Van my en Elvira Hatting, mooi loop tot in 2023.